Why am I here in front of you this morning? Many of you guys know me as Mr. Huddleston or Mr. H, or that guy that's in the hallway trying to help each other out as it relates to the work I do with the behavior specialist work. But be honest, that's my cover. They say all superheroes have a cover. That's my Clark Kent. And I'm really a superhero trying to help people as it relates to sports psychology consulting. I worked with some of my lady Quakers before. My daughters even asked about Diamond last night. Like, where's Diamond at? But what I really want to talk to you guys about, whether you're an athlete or a non-athlete, and I take it, how many athletes in the room so I get an idea? And quote-unquote non-athletes. Okay? Really? So it's a good idea, but what I want to talk to you about the connection between the correct sport mentality and how that can help you being successful beyond sports. So I don't want you to think it's just a sport-based thing, but there are many similarities you better pull from that. And I'll share that with you the time we have. Ms. Overland, keep me mindful of time so I don't go on too long and go over. So my background, for you guys don't know, I've been a teacher. I used to teach at my old high school in Detroit. Taught English, and I coached basketball there. I coached the junior varsity basketball team, so I was able to return to my old high school and teach. That's like you guys taking on this old role in the future. It can happen. Somebody in this room is going to be that one to do it, right? Traveled the country as a motivational speaker. I traveled throughout the United States and traveled throughout Canada as a motivational speaker, which was pretty cool. And also was a lobbyist in corporate America, as well as on Capitol Hill, this Capitol Hill. I worked for Governor Granholm and then left and did some lobbying, so that was a great experience. That really plays a lot into my sport mindset, being able to help me be successful in the political world as well. And we'll really talk about that too. I'm an author, wrote a book on athletes and charity. It was really great working with athletes on every level. At the time, some of those athletes were college athletes, and now are wrapping up their time in the pros and the NFL, so that was pretty cool. And also some of the Fab Five, Jalen Rose, Jimmy King. We've come to be great friends over the years after me working with them in that capacity. And now I do work as a sports psychology consultant. One of the main things we're going to focus on today has a lot to do with some of the work I'm doing with some athletes, major league coaches, as well as officials too. So really quickly, my skill set and passion was always politics, business, and public speaking. But a lot of that came from how I was very active as a high school student. I wasn't an IB student like many of you guys, but I was very active. I was proactive in the things that were going on. That's what I really want to harp on. I was like that since my freshman year in high school. But also I love education, sports, and charity. And that's Muhammad Ali right there. So I'm sad that we lost him, and I was happy to have fun with him. I told some of the girls only he can rub my head like that, so don't come up to me trying to rub my head like Muhammad Ali. But my point being is, every situation I was in had a lot to do with me taking the right type of steps. And it kind of goes back to what I want to talk to you guys about today. I wrote a book on athletes and charity. When I was reaching out to publishing companies, nobody really wanted to publish me, so I self-published. That's another attitude you have to take. If people don't want to give you the green light to do what you want to do, that means you got to do it for yourself. And raising the national standard. I'm very involved with the USA basketball family. I just got word I'll be back in Cleveland with them this summer, speaking with a number of coaches. Last year, I was in Cleveland. Coach Izzo was speaking, but he couldn't make it. I had the general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is right after they traded Kyrie Irving. We had some great words, and I was with Clark Kellogg, too. And I'm also a member of the Association for Applied Sports Psychology. So I'm in the organization of a number of sports psychologists who go throughout the country and Canada, try to help people be more successful, not just in sport. They work with the military, they work with corporate America, they even work with Cirque du Soleil. So anybody who's in a position where you have to perform, and that's what I want to focus on for you guys today, about performing. That came up kind of bad, but USA basketball, I was me in New York a couple years speaking. Take my word for it, that's Jaren Jackson. He's probably going to be number 3 in the NBA draft, and that's me next to him, but the picture just kind of came out discombobulated on here. My point being is, the work I'm sharing with you guys is the same thing I share with these top athletes. And they tell me all the time how it's really beneficial. And I think this is going to give you guys an added advantage as you begin to take your next steps in your education career, your sport career, whatever it may be. Also, spend time with the Detroit Pistons. That's me down there. That's Reggie Jackson before he got injured, before the season kind of wrapped up, without a postseason run. But again, you'll be surprised. Even when I was with the GM for the Cavs, they were talking about mental toughness, and even NBA-level players are lacking that. So if I can talk to you guys about how you can use your mental toughness to be successful academically, I think it's going to allow you to make some separation in the future. We'll talk about that in one moment. PD squared. Player development leads to professional development. I'll talk to the young ladies on the basketball team about this. Player development means what are you doing to get better as a player? What are you doing to get better as it relates to your jump shot, as it relates to catching, as it relates to your running? I'll be in Grand Rapids really soon with a young man who's a national pole vaulter, and I got to help him with some things. But there's so many things it can help you with. But it also leads to your professional development. Professional development refers to what we're going through right now. How are you getting better as a student? How are you getting better as a person at the job you're working at? What other skills are you acquiring? And the reality is how you are as an athlete, and I know the majority of you guys are athletes, how you follow through, how you do the drill to the fullest, how you do those things is a direct reflection to how you will grow as a professional. If you're the type of person, the coach said, hey, I need you to run 10 laps and come back, and you only run 8, well, when the boss needs you to be able to get that thing done before the midnight, you're going to fall short. So you're getting to a point now, especially as juniors getting ready for your senior year when things are going to change completely, you have to be accountable to yourself. You're not going to always have this, you're not going to have someone like myself or someone pushing. You have to be accountable. And the challenge I think a lot of students have right now is you look at the competition around you. You look around, you say, I'm doing okay. Diamond's doing this and so-and-so's doing this. I'm okay. Instead of saying, you know what, it's a big global world. And as IB students, everything you talk about is global. There's a global world. And there's somebody somewhere competing. And it may not come up right now in your junior year. It may not come up in your senior year. But when you get to one of these campuses, or you get to one of these job interviews, or you get to one of these competitive situations where you got to produce, if you haven't worked on those skills since this point, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. And that's the reality right there. Now, self-expression versus self-destruction. I'm addicted to my own self-destruction. Many of you are. Many of you are picking up traits, unfortunately, that's going to be leading to your own self-destruction. And because they're going unchallenged, and because we're not in the hallways grabbing you, telling you not to do that, or because we're not able to monitor your social media and say, hey, don't be like that, it's going to develop more and more. And the other part of it is some people create their own storms and get upset when it rains. I'll repeat that. Some people create their own storms and they get upset when it rains. Just because we're not losing our minds, screaming, shouting, telling you what you need to do, you take advantage of that. As an IB student, we have a certain expectation that you're going to have a certain level of maturity and self-accountability. And when you don't do that, you put yourself in a bad situation and then wonder why things aren't working out. It's been said, and I can quite agree in many cases, that your generation is known for not really taking accountability. There's always someone else to blame. I'm not pointing a finger at you guys. I'm just having an open, honest conversation. Well, because so-and-so didn't do this. Or I'm late because so-and-so didn't wake me up. Or I'm late because it's always somebody else. And I'm here to tell you, once we cross these doors, as it relates to being done with high school and going on to your next level, nobody's going to care about that. Nobody's going to care. Now, just last week I was with Jim Harbaugh, and bear with me if you're not really a Michigan fan. I'll be with Coach Dan Antonio later on, and I had some great quotes from him. I spent some time with him over the years, and one thing he said that was great. I missed that quotation. Every day you make a conscious decision. You can make a conscious decision to be mediocre and do the bare minimum, or you can make a conscious decision to be great. That is you guys. This has nothing to do with sports at this point. Every day when you get up, you can say, I'm going to be regular, I'm going to be rego, or I'm going to go hard. And the challenge sometimes is just saying, well, I'm the best in my class, or nobody's really messing with me in Eastern, or better yet, in the city of Lansing, I'm this. But it's a global world, young men and women, and you have to realize that. If you don't push forward and go from there, so be it. If you like these quotes, don't worry, I'll get them to you, okay? I'll make sure you get them. I appreciate you writing them down. But every day, you make a conscious decision, and you can make that to be mediocre and do the bare minimum and be great. That really has struck me, okay? As it relates to getting tired, I had to ask him this about getting tired. This is what he said I thought was pretty cool. He said, you have to talk to your body and not let your body talk to you. Think about that. Your body was like, I'm aching. I had that game yesterday. We had a double header. I'm tired. I'm going to rest. I'm going to sleep in, right? Right? That's your body talking to you. That's your body saying, I'm in pain. I went all this time. I'm tired. But you have to talk to your body. You have to tell your body, you're okay. You're an athlete. You can get through this. You get some rest. Get ready to do what you got to do. You have to control the dynamic, because if not, they'll take over. I tell you one thing about the human mind, and I learned this as a graduate student in sports psychology, is that we always default to the negative. Our brain does that automatically, because by doing that, it allows us to be safe. And this goes way back, and I told the lady this a while ago, this goes way back to when we were cavemen and women. We had to watch out for some dinosaur, if you believe in that, coming in to bite our head off. Or when we were living in the wild, wild west, and you would go out on the prairie 30 miles away, they rustle up the cattle and you'll see the storm rolling in. You always defaulted to the negative. So your body right now is telling you these things, that you're tired and you're this and that and why you should stop. But instead of your body talking to you, you have to talk to your body. He said, don't listen to Freddie Soft on your shoulder. You got to brush him off. He said, Freddie Soft is this 4-inch person that's in your ear telling you, oh, no, you're tired. Look at all that work you did. You can't go anymore. You can't go anymore. And you got to brush that person off your shoulder. Or as I told my ladies during the season, there are two wolves on the left and the right. There are two wolves out there. There's a negative one and there's a positive wolf. Whatever you want to call it. And guess which one survives in you? The one you feed. If you feed that negative wolf, if you feed that negative wolf and give it energy and give it what it needs, just like in the litter of little cubs. The runt of the litter, that's the one that doesn't get any milk. If you feed the negative wolf, it's going to survive and it's going to thrive in you. So you can't feed the negative wolf. You got to feed the positive wolf, the one that's saying, you know what, I'm good, I'm going to go hard, I'm going to keep pushing. Let that one grow. Let that wolf grow and eat the negative one. But it's a daily process. We can't go a day realistically without eating. So it's a daily process, okay? You can't have one good day and leave it alone. You got to get up and come at it again. This was us a couple years ago. We were talking down in Detroit, Sound Body, Sound Mind. It was so funny because where we're standing, there was a guy who was recruiting to be a quarterback. And he was throwing the ball, and the other guy kept dropping it. And I was like, man, my man keep dropping the ball. I said, well, coach, you know you standing there. I said, I don't care. You got to perform at all times. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. It's not like, oh, okay, well, today is different. You have to perform all the time. And just because your performance sets you apart at Eastern doesn't mean you don't have to keep going all the time. Because, again, that little computer right there, that, thing in our pocket keeps us globally connected, okay? So you got to keep performing. You want to be a D1 athlete. I think this is great. Because most of my athletes, that's the goal. We all want to go D1. Division I. That means that there's so many people at that school that gives you that certain level of play. If you're basketball, you can get in the NCAA tournament, which we all love. If you're football, you can get in the national tournament game too. Same with all other sports, whatever it may be. But D1 is not just for sports. D1 is for athletics too. This is totally as it relates to everyone in this room. You want to go to Michigan, you want to go to Michigan State, you want to go to my alma mater, Western Michigan, that's D1. What does it take to be D1? And I think his comments go across the board. You have to train, you have to practice, you have to rehab and follow advice from people that have your football interests at heart. The only thing we have to change in that one statement is the word football and make it academic. You have to train, especially as an IB student. You have to continually work to get better. You have to practice. In the sports world, the term practice is kind of funny because Allen Iverson made it funny years ago. He said, practice? I really have to go to practice. Yes, you do. You have to work on your craft constantly, okay? And follow advice from people that have your academic interests at heart. As I divert to Miss O. She has your academic interests at heart. She's not fly by night. She didn't just pop in and whatnot. And the other thing, she doesn't stand to benefit from you doing well. Only you stand to benefit. She is just committed to that. So who really has my best interests at heart? And sometimes it's sad, Ms. Oberlander, because those who care about you the most are the ones who are sometimes, quote-unquote, mistreated. And I'm not saying you ever came to me saying that. She's never come to me and said that. But I observe her and her other colleagues and what they go through. We take those people for granted. Oh, you'll be there. I can go to her last minute. She'll do it for me. But what you have to realize that Miss O is going to be few and far between when you leave here. Not going to be many Miss O's. What's going to really trip you guys out when you go into the college campus, some of you guys are going to show up and you're going to be at lunch or something like that and you're going to see your professor. Hey, yeah, I know you from my class. How are you? And chalk it up, yak, 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 all that. And you may miss class and think nothing of it. It's still a failure. See you the next day. Hey, how you doing? Like, dang, I thought we was like, yeah, but you ain't taking care of your business. And that's the one thing you got to realize. I think as juniors, if you take that mindset now to finish this year strong and to go into next year with that attitude, you're going to set yourselves up for success as opposed to failure. Okay? Also, a few more. He said this, and this was on last week, and Sunday was the last day of spring practice. He said, you have to be like a sprinter. Great sprinters have a way of bursting when they see the finish line and creating separation for others. See, what normally happens is when we see the finish line, what do? We kind of fall back. Oh, I'm there already. I'm good. But you don't know. There's somebody who's been humping from the starting line, and they've gained momentum, and they're going. And you can't see behind you when you're running, and you're falling back, And they're coming. It happens all the time. You watch the Olympics, you watch any great race, it's that person who's stretching at the end. When you see the finish line, you have to burst. You have to create separation. Now, let's take it away from athletics. Let's take it back to academics. When you see a goal, that's time you got to turn it up. It's not time to cruise. Because when you cruise, you lose that. What you're saying is, I'll be willing to lose these last couple seconds. I'll be willing to lose this last opportunity to get a great percentage point. And that's something that's going to stay with you forever when all you got to do is burst. And the other thing about bursting and creating separation, this becomes a habit for you. These are the habits you want to create, young men and women. You want to create these habits so that when things get tight, and they will. If you want to achieve anything outside of working at McDonald's, no offense to McDonald's, if you want to achieve anything outside of that, you're going to have some struggle. And it's been said that your generation tries to alleviate struggle. And part of that is our fault because our generation created a lot of tools that allow you to switch. When you don't like what you're seeing, you can switch. Back when we only had a disposable camera with 27 exposures, you wasn't wasting no shots on people. You're like, what is he talking about? Yeah, when cameras, you only had so much, but now it's digital. You can take how many ever selfies you need till you get it right. Follow what I'm saying with this. You can always have an alternative. And that can sometimes be to your demise. You say, if I don't like this, I can go somewhere else. For my athletes with the transfer generation, man, I don't like it here. I don't like this coach. I ain't really feeling it. I'm going to leave. And they go. Same thing academically. What I'm telling you guys you have to do is you have to learn to be able to deal with adversity and drill down. Okay, and that's going to create substance for you. And that's going to create character. And that's really important. It'll allow you to better deal with a lot that's coming at you. He also said people get passed up in the race when they think they've arrived or they think for some foregone conclusion they're going to be successful. We were talking about people who assume because they're playing at Michigan they're going to the NFL. He spent 16 years in the NFL. Technically, he's an Iron Man, Johnson. People don't play in the NFL that long. Now they don't. 16, 17, at quarterback, oh my God. And he's real humble about that, but he's right. People get passed up when they think I'm good, I'm IB, I got this GPA coming out of Eastern, I'm straight. No. It's a global race. Going back to sports, there was a young lady who had the day of her life like 2 days ago. She ended up having private golf lessons with Tiger Woods. Why was that something so significant? Well, she's from Nepal, and her goal is to be the first woman from Nepal to be a professional golfer. Now, she has lived in the maintenance shed with her family on the 2 golf courses that's in the city in that country. She lived in the maintenance shed. You guys know how big a maintenance shed is? Not as big as this room. And she lived there and she practiced golf to the point where she is considered one of the best golfers in that country. And she was able to have a private golf lesson with Tiger Woods. So these are the people you're competing with. These are the mentalities you're competing with on a global scale. Some of you guys may have some challenges coming in this morning, but I guarantee you it's not a challenge like a third world country. Some of you may have some down times where it was kind of tight at home. I understand. Some drama, but I guarantee you on percentage-wise, it's not that of a third world country, but yet still, they're focused on their academics. That's who you're competing with. That's why you want to be able to create that separation. It's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to be successful. And also, I thought this is a great quote. We talk about this every time we talk. You can do anything you want, but you can't do everything. I want you to let that sink in for a minute. You can do anything you want, but you can't do everything. And this was related to getting on campus and partying, hanging out. Any college campus in America, there's a party or something social you can do every night. Am I right, Ms. Hall? 7 days a week, 8 days a week.
Yes.
There's always something going on. Okay? So you have to develop the discipline to know I can't do it all the time. One of my buddies, and I hate to say this, but he was class valedictorian when we graduated. He graduated with more money than any person has graduated with in the state of Michigan as far as scholarship. I'm talking about money. But the challenge was that he was so socially excited about hanging and partying that when we went away as freshmen to Morehouse, he partied so hard that he ended up not registering for classes. He either failed or not. It was horrible. And that's what I don't want you guys to be faced with, okay? And I'm not trying to scare you, but actually I am. Scare you to make the right decision. Coach Izzo, can't talk about Michigan when I'm talking about Michigan State. Spent a lot of time. I was with the Spartans all last summer from like August all the way to January. And actually I left prior to all the little happenings that took place to come over here and spend time with you guys actually. And it's so funny that I was with the coaches a couple weeks ago and one of the coaches said, Lindsay, when you left, we started losing. We laughed about it. I was like, wow, it was a huge compliment to hear that, But the point being is that this has an impact. So one thing I talked to Coach Izzo about years ago is like, how do you get players that aren't necessarily known as being big-time players? At least a few years ago that was the case, to be able to be so successful, play so well. So every year he sits down with them before the season, he talks about self-evaluation. He goes and asks them what they want to achieve, what they want to accomplish in their life, right? What they want to accomplish in their sport life, what they want to accomplish in their personal life. It's actually a great tool. Then as the year goes on, he brings that back. He said, I thought you wanted to do this. I thought you wanted this to be your goal. So I think that's a fair way to use it. But I'm on here to challenge you guys that you got to self-evaluate too. You got to really ask yourself, what is it that I want to do? And many times parents, family, and friends can put these undue pressure on us. Oh, you're going to be a doctor. I know that. Or you're going to be this. Or you may have a dream that's different from what anyone has talked about, but it's so far outside of their box that they can't support you. How do you think people felt when I was leaving politics? You see, I was politic on the highest level. I said, no, I'm going into sports psychology. They're like, what? What is that? But man, you could have been this. In many cases, the dream people have for you is a dream that benefits them. I'll say it again. The dream that people have for you is a dream that benefits them. And it's not that they're trying to be malicious and take advantage of you, but they're like, okay, if she becomes a doctor, that means I'm good. She can take care of the family. Well, if he becomes a dentist, that means, all these things, if people put that out there on you, directly, indirectly, consciously, unconsciously. But what you have to do is self-evaluate and say, what do I really want? And I tell you what, if you're not doing what you're passionate about, it's going to be hard to push through at the middle of the night. If you're not doing what you're passionate about, it's going to be hard to get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to get somewhere because you want to be there. Okay? And I'm here to tell you that. And I left a career of making my last check in corporate America. I was making probably about $130,000 a year. And that was a lot of money. And it was hard to walk away from, but two things. I felt that if somebody could pay me $130,000, I could make 1.3 on my own. So I bet on myself. And separately, you cannot let money be the dictating factor. Now, it's hard to say that to a group of individuals that may have the range of socioeconomic issues, from poor to middle class to even wealthy. But at the end of the day, I've never heard a person say it was the money that made me happy. So you have to really align with your passion. You have to really self-evaluate and keep asking yourself, what do I want? Now, that may lead to a little challenge at home. That may lead to a little challenge in a relationship. But that friction is good. Running from challenges is not going to stop the challenge from being there. But you got to say, you know what, I really thought about it, and this is the direction I want to go in. Now, I'm going to add a little bit more to it. Some people may come back and try to down you because of that. Some people may use their relationship with you and their time with you to say things that are inappropriate, meaning you won't do this because of who your dad is. You won't do this because of who your father is. Or you can't do this because you're this. You can't do this because you're that. Oh, they're going to say all kind of things. But you know what, when people saying that, what it really means, they're crying out because of the issues they have with themselves. Because of the issue they have with themselves, they're going to tell you, they're going to put their fears upon you. Diamond, you can't do this because you are a female. And that may be someone who is insecure about where they are in the world. I wouldn't be mad at them, just see them for what it is, okay? But I'm here to tell you, everyone in this room can do anything you want to do. Anything. Anything. And anyone who tells you you can't, that's somebody you got to put them at a certain mental distance. Sometimes you can't put people at a physical distance, but you can put them at a mental distance. Like, oh, hater right here. I see where you're coming from. And the only reason you have to do that is because toxicity can impact your success. And toxins can impact your success. I got to go to the doctor when I leave here because I think maybe something I ate, but I think I have to flush my body of some toxins so I can be healthy. You can't go on. And toxins can lay dormant. So negativity can just lay dormant. That's why it's not really good to keep the negative people around, because that toxicity is subtle and it can just keep coming. You guys follow what I'm saying when I'm saying this? Is this hitting home? Okay? Okay, I think it is. I just want to make sure. All right? Got flow. Now, what am I getting at? Like, wow, Huddleston, you just cracked their head. What's going to help us? I want to talk about having flow. Flow represents a practice that I use and I try to share with my athletes called mindfulness. And mindfulness refers to two basic principles: being non-judgmental and being present in the moment. Can you look at someone and not judge them? That's very hard because the human brain is patterned to do that. You make a quick judgment of people, whether you're looking at their shoes, to the top of their head, their face, where they're from, we do it. So you have to be very pro-conscious, if you will, about not judging people and not judging their values. That's another thing we do too. We judge people and their values. Now the other part is being present. I must commend you all. I don't know what threat Miss Oberlin made you guys, but all you guys are locked in and present and paying attention right now. Did you tell them you were going to do something to them if they didn't? If you did, it's okay. But I say that as a compliment. And maybe you guys are responding to the message. I won't put it on me. Maybe it's the message. But every one of you guys are present right now. And I think if you can practice being present as much as possible, it's going to serve you well. If you're talking to people, let your phone just buzz. Check it later. I know it's hard. It takes a while, but a person will recognize, like, wow, the whole time we talked, she never looked at her phone. She never looked over my shoulder to see who was coming in the room. She stayed locked in with me. And if you need more help with that, just look at a person's nose while you're talking to them. And it'll give the appearance of eye contact. I'm not trying to tell you to trick people, but it's hard because phones create this stimulation that we want to see on a regular basis. How am I doing with time?
I don't know. I would like you to talk to him.
Okay, all right, very well. I just want to be conscious. All right, no problem. So, I mean, and especially for your generation, the jury is out on you guys. Well, she's this certain age, so she's not going to be locked in. She's all about her phone. But you can really shake them up by putting your phone away, putting it down. And because to be honest, with the exception of that one emergency that you might get, parent or whatever, whatnot, all we really are trying to do is see where our likes are, see where our tweets are, see what's up with the gram. I mean, and that's that stimulation you want. And I get it, because when I post something, I'm like, well, how many likes did I get? I mean, that's a natural stimulation, you know, as far as what's going on. But as it relates to your interpersonal relationships, I want you guys to work on connecting with that, okay? So, to get you guys in the zone. In basketball, it's like I can't miss a shot. It's in football, I can't be touched. But academically, you ever had your moment when you had to write that paper and you just flowed on it? Flowed on it, right? Right? And it was just coming. But I'm telling you, you can put yourself in a position where you can set yourself up for flow. Okay? And I'll give you a few things, and I'll be happy to be a future resource because I'm not going anywhere. These are my 12 rules of flow. I'll go over quickly. And I told them I'll get them copies of this too, because I'm taking a lot of notes. Okay? Goal setting, whether you're writing them down, it's very important to write goals down. And I would even challenge you guys that beyond writing things down on your phone, stay with this process of the written process. That's very important. That kind of keeps us connected. That's a human element, all right? Writing things down. Statistics are that the more you write your goals down, the better they're going to be to appear because it takes you to another process. You're not just thinking about what you want. When you write it and put it in the two-dimensional world, that helps it in the process of coming to fruition. Imagery. That's a process that's really helped me a great deal. Can you imagine what you want? Can you just close your eyes and imagine that next thing you want? Sometimes we're so fearful to do that because we feel if we do it, there's a good chance it's not going to happen. Okay? And I want you to work on overcoming that fear. Then the mental rehearsal part, I got to work with my athletes on that too. Can you mentally go through the process of what it's going to be like to do it? Can I go through it in my mind, before it happens? Some of your challenges may be your social interaction with other people. And that issue is what you have to do sometimes is say, I know when I see her or him, they're going to say this. Well, get the jump on it. Think about what next thing you want to say to respond to that. And then think about the next things. And that way you can kind of play the situation out to work to your advantage. You don't always have to be on your heels. Positive self-talk. I can't talk about how important that is. It's been studied throughout the world from coaches that positive self-talk is so important. You may feel like you're crazy if you're talking to yourself, but you got to be your biggest cheerleader. You got to hype yourself up. Because the haters are out there in full force. They're going to be saying sideways stuff all the time, okay? And you got to hype yourself up. You have to be in relationships with people who are going to hype you up. And there's nothing wrong with telling your homeboy, hey, man, good job, baby. Way to rock on that. There's nothing wrong with telling your friend, your girl, hey, baby girl, way to do that. That's how we're going to do it. And hype each other up. Now, what's going to happen is when you start doing that, that's going to bring even more jealousy from people. But keep doing it, all right? Positive self-talk, right? We have it over there. Breathing relaxation techniques, that's a very important tool also, and I have to work on that. And the breathing relaxation technique is important because it forces you to be present. Because there's no way physiologically you can take a deep breath and do other things. It forces you to be present. So as always, we're going to practice that right now. So on the count of 3, I want everyone to take a deep breath, okay? Stay with me. 1, 2, 3. Now let it out. Now we're going to do it again, and my athletes know what we're going to do now. This time when you take a deep breath, I want you to breathe in all the positive things you want in your life and blow out all the negative, okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Blow out. It's a good feeling, right? You have to be proactive about your breathing because as humans, we are shallow breathers. we don't take deep breaths, okay? You have to be proactive about it. You have to do it. I used to wear a bracelet that was a certain color to remind me. Pro golfers, some of them will put a red dot on their glove, so when they're golfing, they can look at their glove as a reminder, I got to take a deep breath, especially in a game that requires so much concentration. So whether you get a cool little bracelet you like or something to remind you, like, oh, take a deep breath. And once you get in the habit of doing that, it'll be really, really helpful for you to stay present. Concentration, that's very important too. You guys especially have to work on your concentration because there's so many stimuli in your life. That phone, again, that phone could be great or it could be bad. But you're constantly getting the stimulation. So what's going to make you stay focused for a longer period of time, right? One of my exercises I do when I put my daughter to sleep, she's in the bed, I sit in the chair next to her, and I count backwards from 100. And that small hesitation from 100 to 99 helps me focus on that muscle up here I have to work out my brain. And I was at the gym this morning working out these muscles, but this muscle is just as important, right? And normally, if things are going good, by 50, I catch myself snoring because I got so relaxed and I fell asleep. And my point being is you want to work on that. Also, one thing I talk about is opening up a book and counting every page on the book or magazine. Count the word, not the page. You can count every word on the page, right? And just slowing down and looking at that can help. Going back to that counting backwards from 100, count backwards in increments of 5, or increments of 10. That's going to make you think a little bit more. And it's those little things you need to do to combat the stimuli you always get from your phone and the social media that constantly keeps you stimulated. You have to be able to concentrate for a longer period of time. Most of you guys, who's going to be a lawyer here? You got an exam coming up. More you going to raise your hands in the future. Got that LSAT coming up in that bar exam. Bar exam is a 2.5-day exam. Some of you guys, if I took your phone away from you for 2.5 days, you say, hey, I just have to kill somebody to get it back, right? You got to set yourself up for that. The LSAT is 3.5, 4 hours. You're going to have a number of exams where you're going to have to really concentrate to get the best opportunity to go forward, okay? So work on that now. Emotional control, I can't say more about that. You really have to work to let individuals not get the best of emotions. Just last week, I spoke to a number of referees with Officer Fisher's great group called Refs Are Us. You can imagine being a referee, how people come at you and say crazy stuff, and you got to keep your emotional control. You guys got to say the same things too. If you guys start taking on more of these positive traits, you're going to have more people coming at you. But it's going to be important to keep your emotional control. Maintaining proper motivation. What is it that you want? What do you have out there that you're trying to get? Okay, what is it that you really want that you're not fearful of? You're saying, that's what I want to get. I'm getting a G4 jet. That's a jet that has 14 passengers. And that reason and rationale is that 1, I can travel anywhere in the world to help my clients. And 2, I can have my family with me. And if they're not with me, because my wife there would be the one like, I don't want to go to, to that island today. So I want to be able to get back home in time, right? Hey, that's my life, right? That's okay. But that's my motivation. So if I'm going for a G4 jet, I watch Selling Jets. That's one of my favorite shows on cable on 387 All TV. Those go between 1 and 5 million. So I got to get my game up. And I'm not saying I can't do it, because one day I said my goal was to be able to work with the Pistons. And that came and went. I'm moving on to something else, because you got to put these goals out here. And I wrote those down, et cetera, et cetera. And you guys do the same things too. Confidence. Hey, if people won't give you confidence, you got to believe in yourself. And confidence is a very unique thing. Confidence is one of those traits that even if you don't have it, you can literally fake it till you make it with confidence. Confidence is something that if you're not confident, they said by your physical stance, by standing in a big way, by standing big, you remember that part, right? By standing big, there's a psychological impact it has that can help you be more confident, and then momentum takes over and it can help you. They say in interviews, when they look at people in interviews, it's the person who has the wider stance. It's the one who looks a certain way that they respond to better. Then it's a triggered effect. So even if you're not feeling confident, if you just stand up straight, put your chest out, put your head up, that's going to help you. And those things are necessary. And what you guys got to realize is momentum is a key thing in so much that you do. Some of you guys may say, it's hard to do this. I can't do all that. But once you get started, it's a ripple effect. And it takes care of itself, and it goes and goes. They ask, does anyone in here know how to eat an elephant?
Me? Do I eat an elephant?
How do you eat an elephant?
You don't.
You do. You eat it one bite at a time.
Just because.
One bite at a time. You follow what I'm saying? An elephant, the journey of 1,000 steps starts with the first step. And you guys can't be too fearful. Don't let anxiety get a hold of you. Where you say, man, I can't start walking down there. I'll never get there. You never know. After your second step, you might get a ride. So you have to believe in those kind of things, right? But you was like, I was tripping. I wasn't going to go. That's how I saw you walking when you crossed the street. I wasn't going to see you when you was on that side of the street. But once you started, see, don't worry about the finish. Just worry about starting. Okay? Take it from me. Take it from Miss O. There's so many other things going on in life that will change that. Is this us?
No, we're here.
Forming healthy habits. The sooner you guys at this young age can continue to form healthy habits, the better you're going to be in the future, okay? I never sit and stand in judgment of anyone based on their habits because I got my own habits I have to work on a daily basis. But you want to form healthy habits. Habits lead to outcomes. Your habits lead to some type of action. If you keep doing something on a regular, something's going to happen with that. Now, you may say, we all have habits, good or bad, because there's something you do on a regular basis. You have to evaluate, is this habit good for me? And then sometimes it's hard because you're like, I can't stop doing that. I love that too much. But you'd be surprised. Just give yourself the time to work on and work through. Getting quality sleep. Hey, I got to tell you, Coach Harbaugh said it. This is crazy. I mean, that was kind of got our conversation started. He said, yeah, you need like 8 hours of sleep. You're like, 8 hours? I'm going to miss too much. But at this point, you guys are still developing physically, emotionally, mentally. You want to give yourself that so you can grow and be ready to go, okay? And it's not about being up to 4 in the morning. But what's really popping at 4 in the morning? The social media, that'll be there. Here's a little trick, guys and girls. They'll miss you more when you're not around, okay? Don't feel that you got to be in the mix of everything that's going on all the time. And last, thriving under pressure. This is very important. There's this thought pattern in the world that, hey, if I could just survive, if I could just get through, it just give me enough to get by. But I challenge you to reframe pressure. I talked to one of my coaches about that a few weeks ago. You have to reframe how you look at pressure. Don't look at pressure as something I want to get through, but look at pressure as an opportunity. Because anytime there's pressure, there's really something else on the other side of that. Why is there pressure? Well, I got this big exam. Well, if you do well on it, guess what? You're going to be very successful. So I always tell a story about some Vietnam soldiers, and there was a study done on them, and it was a book called War by an author named Sebastian Jungle. I'll never forget this. I'm a former Marine myself. And in the book, they were on the Viet Cong. They were in Vietnam, and they were on their own base, but the base was surrounded. I mean, it would be the equivalent of Eastern High School being a United States Marine Corps military base, and all of the city of Lansing was enemy territory. So we talk about completely surrounded, right? And they got intel that they were going to be overrun. One day soon that they're going to come in. So what they started doing is they start preparing. And the funny thing that their stress level actually went down. And that was the weirdest thing, because you would think that she's looking like, huh? What? Right, I'm good. You paying attention. Their stress level went down. And this was because, what's your name? Gabriella, this is because these were men of action, and they didn't just sit around and think. So when they got in the situation where something was going to happen, they started working on their craft. They started cleaning their weapons. They started laying C4, which is for explosives. They started doing their business, right? And their stress level went down because you know what that meant? I'm ready. Okay, it's about to jump off. Let me do what I do. I'm ready. And guess what happened when they found out they weren't going to be attacked? Their stress level went back up. They're like, wow, I got to wait around. It's amazing, right? My point, they were ready to thrive under pressure. In pressure situations, they were ready to get the most out of it. That's how you guys have to reframe pressure. Now, many of your students, your fellow students outside the IB program or anyone else, they may not be able to respond to something like that. But you guys want to look at pressure as an opportunity to do well and do something great, okay, and thrive under pressure.
Now, can you talk about healthy habits and sleeping?
Yeah, healthy habits.
You talked about healthy habits, but some people don't go to bed until 2 because they
yeah.
talk to people.
Here's the thing, guys.
Or you're just doing homework, but that's really about arranging.
But the question is, how does that flow into your daytime life? How's that going to impact your relationships when you're trying to meet with someone, when you're falling asleep, when you can't stay focused? Yeah, you may say there's not enough time in the day, but some things you're going to have to sacrifice. Like I said earlier, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And that's where that comment came from when I was talking to Coach Harbaugh about that. That's literally where it came from. I'm glad you brought that back up again. He said, there's so much time in the day. He said, but you got to just really, put your time out there, as far as what you want to do. I'm a Mason. In Masonry, they say you have 24 hours to handle your 8 hours for your usual vocation, the other 8 hours for your family time, and the other 8 hours for sleep. You got to make a decision. You can't be Mrs. Everybody. You can't be Miss Everything. Oh, they can talk about you, but they can talk about you while you're in the bank. They can talk about you while you're taking care and reaching your goals. So you really have to get a handle on that, because if you get into the habit of doing that, what's going to suffer? Yeah, you stayed up late to get the work done, but nobody's going to hire you because you come to work looking disheveled and looking crazy. Right? Always got bags under your eyes because you've been up at 3, 4 in the morning, and you justify by saying, I was getting work done. Why can't you get that work done right after school? Well, I got baseball, I got softball, I got basketball. Well, right after practice. Or you got to get up early, you got to do something. But this whole idea of carrying it all night and taking pride in these all-nighters and being all about monsters and all that being jacked up, that rolls right into forming healthy habits. You don't want to get, now I like my coffee every now and then. It's like a little treat. So I'm definitely not trying to be hypocritical, but it can't be, I got to have it to function. Does that help? Yeah, and I'll be available to talk more about those things. So again, one more thing I'm going to leave you guys with before we go. I call it my 10-minute miracle. This is literally has changed my life. This has changed my approach to things. And it was really important. I don't have a picture here of my car accident, but my ladies just saw I was in a car accident January 16th. In January of 2016. And the sad thing about it is when I got to the hospital, they saw pictures of the car. They were like, who died? But what made it even worse, 90 seconds before the car accident, my daughter was in the car. And I just dropped her off at school. So it was really a tough time for me. I was hurt. I couldn't play basketball anymore, which was like my outlet. So this 10-minute miracle ended up helping me a great deal. And then, a few months later, I got laid off from my 6-figure job. So like all these things were happening. I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? So I started with my 10-minute miracle. This is what I do in the morning before I get started. Yeah, I get up at 4 in the morning, but before I grab the phone, before I look at the news, I have to focus on me. And this is what I strongly suggest. Many of you guys set yourself up for failure in many cases because you grab that phone first thing in the morning and you're being programmed by whatever you see first. Whether it was a drama on social media, whether it was other things going on, that becomes top of mind for you. That becomes your program for that. Instead of you saying, you know what, let me program myself with what I want. So what I do before I pick up the phone is for the first 4 minutes, I write down what I'm grateful for. Now I used to have a memo, but now I have a legal pad. I just write down what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the work I do here. I'm grateful for my clients. I'm grateful, I just go on. There's nothing too big, nothing too small. I've even written, I'm grateful for the blades of grass that I can walk through, okay? Because the important thing about gratitude, young ladies and young men, is that when you're grateful and gratitude comes out, you open yourself up for more opportunities in the universe if you're a believer in that. And I am. You open yourself up. When you share that gratitude, what you're grateful for, now you're opening yourself up for more things to come back to you. So I wrote that for 4 minutes. I write that. And then this is the fun part. For the next 4 minutes, I write down my affirmations. What's the affirmation? It's speaking about something as if you have it already. It's speaking in the present tense. And it's hard for many of you to do that because you have such a fear of failure that you don't want to say you want something for fear that may not happen. I write down, I'm a provider, a great provider, a protector for my family. That's always my first thing. That I'm healthy, that I'm a master's and a PhD student, a holder. I write all these things down, and what's happening is the things I've written down in the past have come to pass. The things I've written down, because what happens is when you write these affirmations, you're telling the universe, I have it. And the mind is amazing. The mind can't distinguish between what's real and what's not. Whatever you put out there, the mind is saying, okay, well, that's what we have then. So what you begin to do is you draw these things to you. You draw these things to you if you're a believer in that. I'm a firm believer in it, and my life is clearly that, a representation of it. Then I focus on the next 2 minutes or so for meditation. Really to be able to sit silent, going back to those mindful principles, to be able to let thoughts just flow in and not judge them. A lot of times we don't want to sit in silence because we're scared to think of what's going to come to mind. We got our own demons that we battle with, or things and fears that come up. But I'm here to tell you, let them come and let them pass through with no judgment. That's the biggest challenge we have. We're scared to kind of sit in that. But let them come through and let them pass through. And then you see they're just thoughts, right? And that helps you going forward. I do that every day. Every day. When my athletes, I try to do it before game, after game, before practice, afterwards, just to kind of get yourselves ready. So, if all this was like overwhelming, like, oh my God, Huddleston, what are you doing? Be reminded of the Phoenix. And I always like to end with this. The Phoenix was a mythical creature, but I always been enamored with the Phoenix because it lived between some 500 and 1,200 years ago, whether it's Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology that you follow. And this Phoenix story was this. When the Phoenix life was near the end, it would go up into the high mountains, and it would find a nest, and it would burn itself up. It would burn itself up and become all ashes. But soon, that Phoenix would recreate itself and rise from those ashes. So the reason I want to leave you guys with this is that all this information is overwhelming to you. If you're thinking about all the things you've been doing in your teenage life right now that feels so committed that it's going to be hard to change, this can be your Phoenix moment. This can be the moment that you can have a complete change. It happens all the time, okay? And don't feel that you can't do that. And if it's a small part you have to work on, so be it. Small step at a time. But don't think that you're in a position where you can't change who you are and what you do. So with that, that's all I have. I'll always be around and be a resource to you guys. Whether we talk a little bit more today or you see me throughout the day, feel free. I'm in room 314. And thanks for having me, and thanks for being so attentive to me.